Hey everyone, welcome to Awakening Your Wild Heart, a short video show that brings together healing relationship to food, embodied living, and spirituality to inspire and support you in coming home to yourself. I'm your host, Julia Hollenberg, an anti-diet dietitian, food and body therapist, yoga teacher, breathwork facilitator, and woman on my own personal path to living in freedom, true power, and boundless love. Join me in this sacred space where we journey inward to awaken and nourish your wild heart. You are the one you've been looking for. Reclaim your body, your power, your life. Hey there, today we are talking about the connection between food and mood. And this content is especially for you if you experience some sort of angst or anxiety around eating or your relationship to food. If you spent a lot of time and energy in your life dissatisfied with your body and trying to change it, this content is for you. And if you have an eating disorder or had an eating disorder, this content is also for you. So, one of the things that we need to get straight right out of the gate is that one of the biggest contributors to disturbance in mood when it comes to food is not eating enough. When our body and mind feels restricted in terms of not getting enough calories, enough food, some of the symptoms that can develop are anxiety and or depression. The anxiety comes on to try to drive you toward food, and the depression can be this manifestation of your body and mind sort of slowing down, going into power saver mode. Now, these things can happen on a larger scale when the not eating enough is prolonged over weeks, months, and even years, but it can also happen in a day. Like not eating enough earlier in the day can also heighten anxiety or lead to this sort of fatigue or depressive mood. So super important to make sure that you are eating enough throughout the day, every day. And sometimes, especially if you've struggled with your relationship to food, you can have blind spots and some skewed perception of what is enough. So it can be really helpful to have someone like an anti-diet dietitian to support you in really looking at what your eating is like and making sure that you are getting enough so that your anxiety and depression is not coming from that biological deprivation. Okay, so second connection between food and mood. Sometimes we can really blame the food itself on having an impact on our mood, rather than examining how we are talking to ourselves about eating those foods, right? Our attitudes, our beliefs, our self-talk around these foods. So for example, bread, let's just pick bread, right? It is possible that having the bread could create this sort of narrative of, oh my gosh, my willpower broke down. I can't believe I ate that. That food is bad. It's toxic. It's going to make me gain weight, blah, 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 blah. All that diet mentality, that those judgments, right? Those thoughts that come from this erroneous villainizing of certain foods, where, you know, if you are chattering to yourself in your mind about how bad it is or how bad you are for eating a particular food, oh my gosh, the heaviness, the guilt, the shame, and the negative feelings, sensations that come from that, ooh, that's enough to drag anyone down into the gutter. Definite impact on mood. So, and yet we tend to blame the actual food itself, right? So this is about really examining your attitudes and beliefs and self-talk around food, right? And starting to examine where your judgments come from, where your food rules originated from, and starting to examine, are they helpful, right? Are they true? And that is a huge part of healing relationship to food and unlearning the conditioning from diet culture. Additionally, and even more importantly, is to cultivate a compassionate way of being with yourself, right? So often when we struggle with relationship to food or body, the inner critic voice is very loud and mean. And oh my gosh, when we are in the grip of that inner critic, mood is just pulled down and down and down. We feel lack of self-esteem, we feel lack of belonging, we feel isolation, feel bad about ourselves in all the ways. And so it's a really big kick in the pants when it comes to our mood. So one of the best, most nourishing things we can do for ourselves is to cultivate a kind way of relating to ourselves, right? Of talking to ourselves, being with ourselves, caring for our bodies and our minds in a compassionate and respectful way. And this is a slow process, but with practice over time, that harshness starts to soften into kindness and grace. And this is one of the best gifts that we can give ourselves that makes such an impact on our mood, on our outlook on life, and our sense of contentment and happiness. The third thing that is important to name when we're talking about food and mood is gut health. And so this is quite a departure from the idea of examining our attitudes, but then again, not really, right? So this is a bit of a tricky subject, especially when it comes to having a fraught relationship to food and body. Right? But the truth is that most of our neurotransmitters that impact our mood are made in our gut. And so it is a part of supporting our mood to consider what is happening with our gut health. So what I'm suggesting here is that, if there are specific digestive woes that you're experiencing, uncomfortable digestive symptoms, that might be something to work with a healthcare provider on, preferably an anti-diet health at every size provider who can really hold the complexities that relationship to food and body bring to the table when we're talking about gut health and how to treat it. But really, because our gut health is so integral in a healthy mood, what I want to offer is thinking about feeding your gut. Right? What is it the gut needs to feel supported, right? To have the things that it needs so that it can in turn make the neurotransmitters that our body and mind need to have a healthy mood. Right? So this is a central tenet of gentle nutrition, the additive approach, right? What can I add that helps whatever system of the body function better, right? So this is really coming out of the spirit of care and respect. Now, you can Google and find lots of information on, what can I eat to support good gut health? And you'll get some good information out there. And if you are healing your relationship to food and body, it can be really fraught to start to actually incorporate that information. And so what we don't want is for any suggestion about how to nourish the gut to trigger fear or to trigger a perfectionistic mindset or to trigger anxiety or a restrictive mindset, right? So this takes a lot of nuance and patience and delicacy actually in navigating this terrain. The other piece of nourishing our gut is caring for our nervous system, right? And I'm just going to say a few words about this. It is an enormous topic, but we cannot have a positive, balanced mood unless we care for our nervous system, right? And our nervous system, the state of our nervous system has a tremendous impact on our gut and our gut health as well, right? So it's all related. But if nourishing your gut with particular foods feels too fraught for you, another way you can nourish your gut is by caring for your nervous system, which might look like taking a restorative yoga class, right? Or making sure that you get enough rest, right? Or taking some time for yourself where you are not subject to anyone else's demands on you. right? And there can be many, many, many other things. This is a vast topic, one of my favorite topics, but it is really important when we're talking about nourishing the gut and supporting positive and balanced mood. So I know this is really high level, but hopefully it's getting your gears thinking about some of the really important aspects when it comes to food and mood. Alrighty, I will see you next time. Bye.